You are listening to Craftcast, the podcast, where soul meets craft. Don't you think people are brave to come listen to us, Patrik, when we come up with these different themes each week? I think they are, but I know they do. They find like-mindedness in us.
Yes, I agree.
It's a good thing that way. So, all right, Patrik and I were just talking about what we wanted to talk about today. And it's something we talk about that we thought would be good for a podcast, which is our studios, where we make our art. How do they support us? How don't they support us? What would we do to change? What's in the way to getting in there and working? But all that stuff. I would bet,
Yeah.
what do you think, Patrik? One of the number one things is we never have enough space.
Yes, and I thought that, because I moved a couple of years ago and, I went from a smaller space and the new space had a three-car garage. And so I turned that into my studio and I thought that would be enough. And I'm still running out of space. So you just, for me, I probably just collect more stuff the more space that I have, and work bigger.
And that's interesting you should say that because I think we have like amoebas as artists. We'll fill whatever space we have.
Yes, I think so. I think so.
And then the other challenge, I think, I mean, this is one of the surface ones, is finding a surface that's clear enough to start working.
Yes, that is Steven's pet peeve about the studio when he comes in. He's like, "Why is there never any surface space?" Like,
And answer that question for me, because I think that I'm hoping that other artists listening right now are laughing, going, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
why is that?
I know it is for me. I get so worked up about this idea or wanting to try this next thing while I'm working on a project that I'll just take everything out and start working on that. And then I'll get another idea and I'll get excited about that, being like, oh, yeah, that solution is much better. So then I'll take out some more stuff because I don't want to take the time to put the stuff away,
Ah,
right? I will just be like, I just want to get on to the next idea and start creating.
okay.
So, and that's like, yeah, I don't know how I developed that crazy habit, but it's just like Hansel and Gretel sort of thing where you're leaving breadcrumbs all over the place,
Well, someone could always find you by following where you're working and find where you are eventually.
If they could crawl underneath to find me, yes.
Yeah. Now, here's my question. So that supports your creativity, doesn't get in your way, correct?
Yes, it usually does. Although it can get out of control, so I have to keep an eye on that. And I now that I think about it, I have allowed for spaces to be flexible workspaces.
Okay.
So, for instance, we were talking earlier, the way that I have my studio set up is how I do my work. And so I'll do my creation and sketching, and that can just happen wherever. And then I'll go to the next stage of, doing prototypes or production, and that's where my workbench is. And then after I get that done, the next bench is soldering, and then after that, the next bench is finishing. So it just goes right down the line, similar
Okay.
to, when you are kitchen designing and you have that triangle, right? The triangle from the refrigerator to the sink to the
Oh, okay.
stove. That's the
Okay.
magic triangle, right?
Okay.
And so that keeps my work sort of flowing. So what I realized was because I'm a piler and pile up stuff on the tables, I have three work surfaces now that are what I call flex space. And so depending on what project I'm working on, I will put these things there. And I know that, it's a temporary space. It's going to be cluttered until I'm done with the project and probably a couple weeks after, and that's just part of
So
the
you,
studio.
okay, so you named it. I mean, what I did, I've named areas I'm not allowed to ever leave everything there. I'm not
Mm,
allowed to put a pile there ever. It has to, you have to figure out something else so
yeah.
that that's always empty. I mean, if you're listening to us, you can't see, but if you're watching, you can see a table behind me there that's pretty crowded from this end. But the other end, I always leave available. And what you said, if I don't finish something and all of a sudden I realize I'm not going to finish it, it all has to be put away.
Yeah. Yeah. I have labels on two of my flexible workspaces that are specifically clean areas. And so those areas are dedicated to clean work, meaning I'm not going to be gluing on it. I'm not going to be
Mm-hmm.
painting
Mm-hmm.
it. I'm not going to do
Mm-hmm.
any of that stuff
Mm-hmm.
because you do need some clear area, clean
Mm-hmm.
area, in your
Mm-hmm.
studio, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your
Right.
craft is.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's a good. Now, I did that to help support my workflow. I mean, I have a decent sized studio and I have a she shed outside, but that falls right back into you who are an artist will fill all the space and, little vignettes and things we love. I know you've talked about that as well in our inspiration all over the place. Um, but I've heard from a lot of people, one of the things people will say, they want to go in and work, pot clay, metal clay, whatever it is, but their studio is a mess. My studio is a mess. I have to clean up my studio before I can get back in there. That's a huge block in the way that I try to think of some ideas for people. Don't do that because that's huge. It's
yeah,
like I always say for me, I had mentioned to you, I do not leave my studio area at the end of the workday a mess. It always has to be consciously look okay because I don't want to have to come into a messy space next to work. It's
yeah,
not,
yeah.
it won't draw me in. As I said before to you talking about this, I will even do when I'm doing needlework and embroidery at the end of the night, I will make sure the needle is still threaded with the color thread I need to start next
Ready to
because
go.
it
Wow.
makes it makes entry much easier.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. When I was working corporate, I would clean my desk every night before I go, so it would come. But I think that being creative and freelance for me meant I was really thinking about art and solutions all the time. It's not just when I'm in the studio, and it just like, at a you come over for a party or whatever, we'll start talking about a lot of stuff, but then eventually we're going to start talking about art and here's your
Right,
latest project, show me
right,
this, that sort
right,
of thing. So that's part of leaving stuff out.
right,
But what I'm just realizing now is that there is an essential work zone, an essential core where I have all of my tools that I know I'm going to be using, almost all the time. That central area, that's sort of like, the like on Star Trek, when you're sitting in the center chair as captain, right? You have all of your tools there. And then as I spread out, that becomes the tools that I use less and
right,
less,
right.
and so,
Well,
things
you're
like,
you're good at that and keeping everything going. It's that's a good way of doing it. I know that people again who have the problem of getting into the studio,
mm,
the other tricks that you can use, I know that I've used is let's say I do want to make, well, I want to make from Wiz Stern's class of her wishing rings, the beautiful earrings that match it. Okay. To take the pressure off of starting, I'll clear that area and just line up the supplies neatly that I need
yes,
so that when I sit down, I can actually start and not look, I make it two separate things. I don't have to start looking for supplies and starting. It
yeah.
helps then. And then I think once you start something, most of the people I know as artists, then you're on a roll.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think we've talked about this in another episode where it's like, the when I'm at a creative roadblock, one of the things that I do will be to start organizing. It's not that I'm creating the actual thing, but I think, okay, well, I'm going to need to be, let's say I'm enameling. Okay, so I know I'm going to be enameling. I don't know what I'm going to be enameling, but I'll take all those and I'll lay them all out and just sort of, because it doesn't take that creative effort. You're just,
Right,
but it
right,
gets your hands moving.
right,
And then eventually I'll start looking at the colors and I'll get my brain active as well.
right,
So my hands are moving, my brain is moving,
right.
and I'm thinking, oh, what can I do with that color? And then it just sort of, comes
Right.
naturally after then. So, but
That
that's
in
like,
yeah, the inspiration.
yeah, yeah. And it's, what is that? Body that's
Oh,
in
right.
motion
In
stays in
motion.
motion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good
And
point.
that's the hardest part is just that, you know, um, you know, getting that your
The
motivation to
start.
start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why all the things of like putting at least the supplies out neatly. bring over a cup of coffee, the space that looks then inviting to at least start, as opposed to you got to clean up a mess from before or something.
Yeah.
That's a lot mentally to have to deal with. Listen, also because of what I do on Craft House, I don't have a problem with you don't have to finish something if you've already enjoyed the process and you're done with that. And I think a lot of people get stuck with they haven't finished it. Yes, finishing is important, but sometimes it's not important. You've learned something or the process, and you'll, you know, return to it or not, but pack it up and save bits and bobs. But you've learned something. You don't always have to finish something, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And that took me a long time to learn because, I think that we're programmed to, finish what you start sort of
Right,
thing. It's like finish all of your food,
right.
right? And it's like there's a certain amount of guilt that's there
Yeah,
when
we
something
don't
is
need guilt. Yeah.
unfinished,
No, 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 no. Yeah.
and it's like then you start feeling bad about yourself, and it's like, no, I exactly what you said. I've learned what I wanted to learn from this. I don't need to finish the project, and I know that about myself. So now I know I don't like basket weaving or whatever it happens to
Right.
be, you know?
And but it's still you can enjoy the process.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I
And
think it's
that's my thing.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating, and it's kind of like what, on Craftcast, it's like, you know, I will just watch an episode, just to see something interesting and what,
Right.
how does that person doing it? What is
Right.
this all about?
Right.
And that's what I love. That's again with the basket weaving. I saw somebody who was weaving a basket and I thought, hey,
Right.
that looks like fun. I'm gonna do
Right.
that.
That's so funny. I did that too one night and it was fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I ended up going to a store that saw all these basket weaving supplies from way back, still a mom pop shop. I walked in and I started talking to her. It was like the best field trip, a half an hour from my house, with really learning about baskets and how they did it and the Nantucket baskets and how many hours go into there. And she said, oh yeah, I have
Hmm.
someone coming up from Manhattan from New York City today. They'll spend the weekend and just work on a Nantucket basket. And I'm like, that's really cool. Not for me, but I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like that. I like that concept. I wouldn't necessarily do the basket weaving, but I totally would do a lot of other things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, just to be able to get time with your, you know, undivided time with your craft and other
Yeah.
people who,
Yeah.
love what you love and they're just as crazy about the craft as you are.
Yeah.
It's like that's exciting to me, you
I,
know.
and I feel like we should be able to do that. I have taken at the different cooking schools an afternoon of baking something fun. I know I'm never going to do it at home again, but it's a blast doing it in
Yeah.
there. And I
Yeah.
learned something, and that's just fantastic. So,
You're just reminding me. It's a couple of weekends ago, Stephen and I went on this. Like our winery has these events, and then we usually
mhm.
never go. But this one was like, okay, let's look at that. And it was a mozzarella making class. And you show up, there's 40 people there, 40 couples, whatever. And of course, it's in Napa and they have wine because it's the winery. So it's,
Right.
and the chef comes out and we're just making mozzarella, putting our
Fun.
hands in this like burning hot water, pulling mozzarella and kneading it. And so I'm just like doing my thing. And then he's like, okay, well, now make a ball. So I made this ball. And then everyone's like, how did you do that? How did you? And then the gal across from me, she's like, she had a perfect ball too. And I'm like, well, how did you do that? And she's like, oh, I'm a ceramics person. I said, yeah. I said, I use clay as well. And that just seems natural to take that. But what was fantastic about it was everybody was learning, everybody
Yeah.
was talking about it.
Oh, the
And
process.
yeah, the whole process of it all. And we learned something and I could do it on my own if I wanted to. I don't know if I ever would because you could just go to the
Exactly. Yeah.
grocery store and buy some.
Exactly. Exactly.
But it's just kind of fun. Then we took them and we got to do two things. We got to make our own appetizer. So we take the mozzarella and then I think I just had some tomatoes and basil and balsamic vinegar and salt and pepper. And then the rest of it, we would make our own pizza. And so they had this pizza thing that, the crusts were all done. And basically you just went down the line and filled up your topping. So you got to eat your own mozzarella on a pizza that you've, made and
Yeah.
designed yourself. I mean, it was
Yeah.
fun.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's the experience. You don't have to go become a pizza maker business,
Right. Right. Yeah.
but the experience of that. I was talking to someone where just how it was free phones and digital holding our devices all the time. And I've been allowing myself to experience being addicted to, the doom scrolling kind of thing to understand a little bit more. And it is really addicting. The other night, I was going out to dinner. I forgot my phone and I just said, do not go back. Just experience not having your phone for an evening.
It's
And
hard.
it's hard.
It can be
And
hard. Yeah.
I was talking to someone like when back in my 30s, it was the time with the movie The Big Chill. And a bunch of us, good friends, we went to
Hmm.
someone who had their weekend house, which was always a
Hmm.
work in process, nothing
Yep.
fancy. We would sleep on the floors, we would sleep on couches. There were no devices. We would play Trivial Pursuit. We would talk to each other. Um, uh, the owner, we
Make
always
dinner
had
together.
make dinner together. We
Yeah.
always had
Share
that month's,
recipes.
yep, that month's gourmet magazine that we would open to make something
Hmm.
interactive that way. And if that house phone rang, it's because someone just needed to be picked up at the train station.
Right.
And how we don't have that anymore, but that community feeling of
Yeah.
hanging out with your best friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
We
mean,
did the exact same thing. Big chill. We used to go up to this cabin,
yeah,
up in Lake Shasta, and again, no internet. I don't even know if there was a phone there at that cabin actually. And you would just go and, we would, hey, let's make that pizza that you made last time, or let's do this,
yes,
and we filled up our entire days with I don't know what, I mean, just enjoying each other's company and
right,
talking and,
right,
going down to the lake and, talking at the lake,
right. I mean,
all the stuff.
I see a little bit of it in younger people going back to that a little bit. I also see people when they're really addicted in their 30s. I worked out with someone next to someone in the gym in a class. He never put his freaking phone out. You weren't even supposed to bring it in. He was on the treadmill still going like this,
Oh
looking
my
and,
God.
oh no, it's bad. And I thought that's a really bad addiction then. It's not healthy. You can't do
Yeah.
anything and be in the moment without your phone. So it was interesting the other night to do that. And what we're talking about with our studios, I'm thinking maybe we should also like not bring our phone into the studio sometime when we're working. Because,
Oh,
yeah,
hmm, hmm. I will put on the do not disturb, which I have on a lot,
yeah, I do that
because I don't
too.
like to be disturbed.
Right,
And I get a lot of, crazy
right,
marketing calls.
right.
But I use my phone as a tool for
Well, there's that.
creativity,
Okay. Yeah,
and that's the thing. It's
that's
like,
allowed.
okay, well, what do fish scales actually look like? I
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
know what they look like, and I've
yeah,
made them before, but what do
yeah,
they really, really look like?
yeah.
And that sort of thing
That's
is what I
cool.
use the phone for.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about the quickly that we want the hits of something. Look on a social media. What's a quick hit? What's happening? Those drugs, I call them almost.
Mhm.
It's so habitual at this point, and that can get in the way of your
Hmm.
working for sure. That's a good
Yeah.
thing also to remember. But yeah, I miss that sort of camaraderie that way. And that's why I say to people, I think it's great to just go take, well, obviously any craft cast classes and enjoy the experience, period. And you don't even have to finish it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay. I've taken lots of cupcake decorating classes. And I've enjoyed watching every one of them. I have yet to decorate a cupcake, but I've learned a lot of the process and all the tips and things to use for other things and making flowers. Um, and that's incredibly enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, there's somebody in our local guild who has taken some cake decorating classes,
Hmm.
and when she was talking about it, there was a lot of um, techniques
Hmm.
and sort of inspiration and ideas that come with piping something out,
Hmm.
right? And she's like, I have a syringe. full of metal clay, and all I have
Mm-hmm.
to do is alter the tip, or I have an
Correct.
extruder, and all I have to do is
Correct.
make my own. So it's that same sort of thing. It's like I never really thought of it that way,
Correct.
you know? And
Yeah.
those skills just, can transfer over.
Yeah. I love when that happens. I saw something, well, you know how I am, with new ideas and new tools, but came across that there was cotton material backed that you can put through your inkjet printer,
Hmm.
a photo. Yeah. And then it prints, you let it dry, and then you wash off the backing, and now you have 100% cotton material with your photo on it.
I love that.
Yeah. So my brain immediately went, Roll, that sounds really good because then you could embroider on it or put gold pen on it, you know. And the high from thinking that way and the endorphins, it's worth it. I mean, I went, I did it, I got it to work. The hardest part was which way does it go in the printer and doing tests first, which side do we print on? But it was great. And I'm talking about maybe $9 of money spent
Hmm.
and a few hours of like, this is exciting, fun, and a finished result. It was great.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's fun.
yeah, I'm
I
all
don't
for
know. That
that.
was my idea of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I'll do with it. The finished piece, they came out really pretty. Um, and it doesn't matter right now, but the process of that was really fun. So
Yeah,
I'm a big
learning
fan
more.
of like, enjoy the process. Well, for you, let's give some people some solid ideas, even if we're repeating. Well, you probably never have a problem going into the studio, but what would you suggest to people who are having a hard time getting in? That one complaint, I hear people go, as soon as I get the studio cleared up, as soon as I clear off my desk, it's the as soon as
Right,
issue
right.
that I hear.
Well, I think too, what something that people forget, and I had to learn this the hard way as well, but the way that you set up your studio and the ergonomics of it are really important because if you're in your studio trying to make something, the last thing you want to do is be uncomfortable,
Right.
right? Because that will just
That's a
make a
good point.
roadblock right there,
Right. Yeah.
And so I have anti-fatigue mats. My tables are, they're not fancy, but I went down to Home Depot and I got these work tables, but they're adjustable. You just have a little crank and it goes up and down, which I will quite often stand at my workbench instead of sitting down because it's just a little bit more comfortable for me, you know. So it's little things like that that, is I think that help going into the studio a lot easier.
Yeah, the setup. I see people have services just to help people clean up and set up their studio. I think maybe having someone come in can help, not even paying someone, but a friend even to just help look at it differently because we get stuck in it. I know I bought, if you're watching this on video, you can see a little bit. I have lots of sliding out old-fashioned tabourets under my work table there. So it's an easy way to clean things off. And they're
Hmm.
actually, sectioned, like some of them are polymers, some of them are resin,
Yeah,
so that I can clear off the surface faster when I need
yeah.
something. And, it's not a whole project to do that.
I do the same thing. It's like I have these little, well, there's the, little carts.
Yeah,
I wish I would have the tapares, but I don't
I
think they
know the
make
old
those
days.
anymore.
I think you can buy them on vintage shops somewhere. These are little, I think Michael's carried them. They're online or whatever, snapped together, but there's a
Yeah,
takeoff of the old tabaret. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So for those of you who don't know what a tabaret
Oh,
is, we're not talking
yes.
about a tambourine. We're talking about
Wait,
a
who is the
storage unit.
famous Joe Colombo? He designed them. I wish
Oh,
I still
wow.
had my orange one. And his signature was on it.
Oh,
And
wow.
they were about table high, at least 3 feet, and every drawer swung open.
Hmm.
And then there was on
Oh,
top
hmm.
and on wheels. And
Yes,
if you worked in any publishing or any creative, the magazines or anything, you need your supplies and your pens. Everyone had those. That was just a normal thing to
that
have.
was, yeah, that and the drafting table, you know.
Correct.
I think I just realized that I see them now in hair salons. and people
Yes, yes, yes.
hairstylists will have the cabaret over
Yep,
there with all of their stuff.
yep.
So, but
No,
maybe
it's
they're called something else in the hair industry.
right. Oh yeah, that was Joe Colombo. I'm pretty sure that was the name on signed on there, the designer of it. Yeah, all of those things are good, so that you
Yeah,
just say, I also, here's my one other tip for people. I write it on my schedule. If I keep something in my head, pretty good chance it won't get done. If
right,
I write it in and I do an electronic calendar, if I write it in there, I have to look at it and it'll
right.
upset me if I don't complete it at the end of the day. Now, I'm always allowed to change one thing on my day to another
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
But to me, that's how something actually gets done. So that's my advice to people. Wherever you write down your schedule of what to do, write cleaning up the desktop on there as an actual thing because that makes it really real as
Yeah,
opposed to keeping it in our brain.
yeah. I heard something about that. It was like if your to-do list is in your brain, then it's really just a hope. But
Yeah.
when you actually put it
Yes.
on paper, then you're actually scheduling it, and it's more likely to
Correct.
get done because you're scheduling it in. And I'm
Correct.
like, okay, that makes sense to me.
Yep. I'm a big believer in that. And the other thing I learned is schedule it with enough time to do it. Because a lot of people will do their schedule, but they
Mhm.
didn't leave it enough time. So then you don't finish everything and then it's frustrated and you put it off and
Right.
all of that.
Well, I
So,
think that's something that's too, you talk about schedules, is planning for things, planning when things don't go exactly how you think they're going to go. So put in a little bit of extra time in there,
right,
knowing that, okay, this might not work out because it's the
right,
first time that I'm doing
right.
this. Most artists always do, these one of a kind, pieces. And it's like it might not work out. So schedule time to make sure that you still have time to actually complete the project
Yeah.
before your deadline or whatever
So
happens to
important.
be. Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now and I use the electronic calendar for ages, but I've gotten to the point now where, and I schedule in more than the time, the guess, that it's exact. I'll look over my calendar and there's a line and it's the exact amount. Like my intuition about the more time, I laugh because it really comes out as exact. Um, and then sometimes it'll be a phone call and I've given extra to and it took no time. So now I can squish it and move it up. But that's a good way to get in and get in the studio and clean up. It's written
Mhm.
down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
move and get a whole new place. No.
Well, I mean, I think getting your body in motion
Yeah.
another technique,
Yeah.
and we talk about, how we personalize our creative space and we have
Yeah.
our favorite things that we like. And,
Yeah.
if you're looking to get creative without actually having to produce
Yeah.
something, just to get the juices flowing, go in and style everything
That's a
and
really good point.
rearrange your doodads, and make it look
I might do
however you
that
want it to
tomorrow.
look.
I love mine, but I'd like to do a little refresh. It is May 1st. It is the
Hmm.
beginning. I really feel now, okay, we're done with winter. I have all the greenery is out. It's all looking good. It can still be chilly, but you know, all the snow's
Yeah.
gone. It's not coming back. And I think a little refresh, just organizing the books a little better, just doing,
Mhm.
a little refresh can help too.
Now, do you have items that are like in back stock? Like because I have like some stuff that I thought was really, really cool at one time. I don't want to throw it away, and I still would bring it out, but I put it in a box and then I put it in the closet, and then it's like I know it's there, and then some new stuff comes around, but then every once in a while I think, oh yes, I need to go in there and refresh and take some of this old stuff out, put the stuff that's in front of me away and do something new. And
My problem is I don't want to get rid of it.
yeah.
It takes a lot. And I know a
Uh,
lot of us are that way. I drink this tea. I think it's called Harney and Sons, made here in New York. And the tea bags, I love the tea, and they come in beautiful tins with
yep.
tops.
I know what you're talking about.
Beautiful colors, beautiful type. I finished one yesterday called Paris. I'll have to buy more. I love Paris, that taste. And now I can't handle getting rid of the tin 'cause I don't want to get rid of the tin. So now I'm making excuses. They'd be great to start a plant in. I could put a hole in the bottom. And then I like talk to
Yeah.
myself, are you ever going to do that? I don't know, but shut up. I'm going to save it anyway. I don't care.
Oh, you
So
know,
I
you
let
can send
myself
them to
save it
Harriet
now.
Estelle Berman
I know,
because
Harriet. Yeah. Right.
you get tired of them. She'll use them. She has a whole stack of them, you
And
know?
you know what? If she was here, I'd happily give them away to someone like that because then
Yeah.
I know, I'm very happy to do that too.
Bring to
But
a good home.
yes, exactly. But I have a hard time parting with things like that. So, you know, what can I say? That's how it goes.
Well, we should challenge our listeners
Yes.
to go into their creative space
Yes.
and reevaluate everything, the functionality of it, how things look, and see how they can do things better or differently, you
I
know?
think that's excellent. I think also bring in either whatever you like to drink for fun, whether it is wine, iced tea, a coffee,
Hmm.
bring in a beverage to hold while you're looking around and thinking. That helps me.
Yeah, yeah. So,
That's a,
listeners, if
yeah,
you're out there,
yeah.
send us photos
Oh,
of
yeah.
your creative space, even if it's just the tchotchkes and stuff. We'd love to see stuff like
Oh, we
that too.
do. We love sharing all that. Yes, support at craftcast.com. Oh, let me do a little bit of a announcement too for thing. We have a new class that's been added, Miss Pam East. Perfect after we talked last podcast about being inspired by other clays and things because of the cost of silver going up and our whole talk about all of that. Perfect timing that it just so happens that Pam, we now have a class up you can sign up for that's happening this month in May. She shows how to make buttons. That's an understatement to just call them buttons. But she's showing how
Hmm.
to use every kind of base metal clay. And these are stunning. She makes a bracelet out of them. She puts them on things. She said she went thrifting and bought old black purses and then did a whole design on the purse with these buttons. So
Mm,
fun. And again, something that then is sort of a low, you could come in and learn how to do that and create something without becoming a fine artist in that category. Just have fun.
right, right. Yeah.
So that's
And
coming
that
up.
sort of thing, going to the thrift store, you get to choose your own buttons, and you know that
Yeah.
more than likely nobody's going to have those buttons,
Yeah.
and you can put them together with your vision,
Oh, yeah.
because that would be me. I'd go in and be like, okay, well, I don't know, I'd pick a theme like a nautical. Let me find all the clothes with nautical buttons.
Well, she went in and found
Buy the
things to
jacket.
use as molds then for that to make
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, that's sort of fun, just that. I love going into a tag store or Goodwill or something and looking around and finding things. And
Estate sales are
I
good
could
for that
admit this
too.
in front of everyone. You can go in there and you can walk around for a long period of time, and there's nice music going on. No one's going to ask if you need help, and no one's going to even bother you. You can just enjoy the whole process, and you can leave and not
I
buy
like that.
anything. It's all good.
Yeah.
So,
And if you do, it's
yeah,
probably going to be, really, really
$3.
inexpensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I enjoy that a lot. Yeah. One more thing, more stuff. But then I'm always into giving it away. If someone comes into my studio and goes, "Oh my God, I love that," I'm like, "It's yours." So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's nice to pass it on. All right, Patrick. Well, we want everyone, yeah, send in pictures. We love seeing your studios. Everyone loves seeing someone else's workspace. It's fun. You get inspired. And then until next week, carry on. You've given me inspiration to come in here Saturday morning with a cup of coffee and rearrange a few things.
All right.
So
Now
thank you.
post it or send it, and I'll do the same actually,
Okay,
and
do it.
and then we can post. But just like right now, my studio is a mess because
Well, you're
we're
getting
getting
ready for
ready.
Center and all of
Yes,
that.
it's
So
there's
yeah,
packages and boxes all over
yeah,
the place,
you
but
got a
I
lot
still
going on.
have some safe zones that I can go in and
All right.
rearrange some of my doodads. So,
All
all
right,
right.
do that arranging everyone to be creative. All right, with that, I'm going to say to you what I used to say a billion years ago when I started the Craftcast podcast. My sign off line was um, get your butt in the chair and keep crafting.
I like it.
So I say that again to everyone today. All right, Patrick, thank you so much, honey. I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed today's chat. You can follow us and subscribe at Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And please take a look at all our amazing video tutorials at craftcast.com.